It's a social science that studies human languages, and we have so human language has several like components which are studied in several subdisciplines of linguistics that are phonology, morphology. So these work at different levels of human language. For example, phonology deals with the sounds of human language. Morphology deals with the cluster of these sounds which act as building blocks of the words, and then words combined to a sentence, which are studied under syntax. And after all, it's a human thing. Language is a human thing, and humans form a society. So social linguistics, these are various subdisciplines of linguistics. And since this is a science, since this is a theoretical science, we also have jargons, we also have notations, some formal systems which require several typesetting related niches, like some specific requirements that are needed in, say, linguistics. So we will have a quick look at some examples. For example, this one is the phonological diagram of the word represented below, and you will see some funny characters in tech language. Basically some Unicode characters that are used to represent human language sounds in a universal way. We call it the IPA, International Phonetic Alphabet. And I'm not going to the technical details of it, but as we can see, it requires some kind of coding to get an output like this. Then this is interlinearly glossed example, which basically describes a sentence of Marathi. And the specific requirements are, for example, this is the sentence which we are going to describe is first written in the native script. Then it is transcribed in the International Phonetic Alphabet so that any researcher can read it. Basically, we are all working on the idea of human language, and we can't be restricted by the native scripts because there are so many. So the interaction between linguists happen mostly with these phonetic alphabets. Then this is another interesting line where we give the glossing of the word. So for example, what does this me word mean in the target language? For example, if we are writing in English, it means I, but that's actually one. It's just a stylistic variant in the font that you can see here. But basically, it's the first person, so that is a symbol that represents the first person. Or there are these glosses, they expand to say IPFE means imperfective, F means feminine, and stuff like that. So we give the grammatical analysis of those words in this third line, and then the free translation of the sentence. So that is typically in the target language. Now, if you have observed it carefully, this looks like a table, right? The first column is of the maximum width of the longest word in that table. Not a table, but like every word is glossed like that. So again, this creates some kind of typesetting requirement. Similarly, this is a syntactic tree that describes a phrase, and I'm not going into the details of it. This is used in the subdiscipline of syntax. And this is a similar tree, but with some other strange things happening here and there. They're used in the discipline of semantics. So my point is, I just wanted to show you some examples that we need in the discipline of linguistics. So now, what is the current state of linguistics in LaTeX? So in my opinion, the International Phonetic Alphabet is not very well supported in the default LaTeX, because we all know that IPA is Unicode, and the default font family of LaTeX does not support Unicode. Even if we shift to LuaTeX or ZTeX, still the default is Latin Modern, and Latin Modern does not support like the range of Unicode symbols we have. So that's not very well supported. Then there is a package called TIPA, which is a very old package. Like the last update was in 2004, so it's like a very old package. And that is omnipresent in the discipline of linguistics. Like it is used for, like it uses some special code, like it has two methods of typesetting the sounds. If you saw this funny character here, that's not a question mark, that's a glottal stop in the IPA. And there are two methods of typing the same symbol in TIPA. One is that there is a special command text IPA, which can take a string, and all the characters are interpreted special with a special meaning inside that command. So you write a capital P and get this glottal stop. Or there are some fully expandable commands like text glot stop, which expand to the same character. This is a special way of inputting IPA, which was very common, especially when IPA did not have all the Unicode slots available inside it. So now we should consider this a legacy method, in my opinion, because there are a lot of tools for typing IPA, and like there are various fonts for supporting IPA in Unicode. So I think this should be considered a legacy method now. A few years ago, I wrote a package called TIPA Uni, which does a Unicode math-like job. So if mathematicians around know the job of Unicode maths, basically you write the mathematical special commands of like say alpha, and earlier you used to get a special like a symbol in a special encoding, but Unicode maths will give you the Unicode symbol with the same command, with the same input. Something similar to that I was planning to have in LaTeX for linguistics, and TIPA Uni was the result. And there are several contributors like Jonathan Spratt and many others who helped me a lot while developing that software. Even Ulrike's suggestions were very important for that software. So now I think it's time to consider this kind of input as a legacy input. And another problem that I have started facing, especially now, is that many packages have a non-standard syntax. So like very popular packages like Leipzig, or I hope I pronounced it correctly, and Expex, which are, so Expex is used for the interlinear glossing example that we saw, and Leipzig is for those grammatical labels that we saw in interlinear glossing. So these are quite old packages, and they were built with some syntax that is not shared with the other ethos of LaTeX. And especially with the modern methods, we are going towards shared space where many programming niches can have the same style of programming and build uniform, basically packages, uniform style of programming. So I think now we need many modern ways of doing that. So yeah, linguistics with an X started with an idea of having a standard interface for all these things. Standard TM, because it's very trendy these days in the LaTeX circles. So yeah, basically I'm trying to use, I would say, various methods that are now getting standardized in LaTeX programming. And so for that, I also am planning to give a programming backend that can basically interface a programmer's interface that anybody can use in any EXPL3 environment with the standard style. You don't have to learn any additional jargon that only linguistics uses. It's the same style in which, say, kernel programs or other things are written, like the style-wise. So that is another thing I'm trying to do with linguistics. And I also want to build a central space of development for various niches that are there in the field of linguistics. So, and because we now have methods of regression testing that ensures backward compatibility, I'm planning to add that too to this development. So let's have a quick look at the organization of the bundle. I call it a bundle, the linguistics bundle, as it is right now. So there are 3 packages that I have called internal. Internal for a simple reason, like loading this package is not going to help the user a lot. It's mostly for some internal functions, like, for example, the base, linguistics base package provides a central key value parser, and all the key values in all the other packages are, like every other package you load will add to the same set of the key value parser. So the same parser can be used to parse any of the keys provided by any of the package in the bundle. So that's one idea. Then there is package linguistics. So it's simply saying use package linguistics loads all these packages. That's it. So there are various internal packages like that. Linguistics logos is just a wrapper for producing these logos that you see in a fancy font. So these are internal packages users can safely ignore. Otherwise, every other package is a decentralized package. You can simply load the standalone package that you need for your specific need, and then you get that functionality. So let's have a look at what the other packages do. I'll just quickly mention here the use of fixspecs package. Basically, because of a command clash in Unicode math and xpecs package, which is very common in linguistics, it was very, like, it had a serious clash, and therefore it used to produce a fatal error. And now there is a hack to like work around it. So I've just released it as a package separately. So anybody, if just wants to use Unicode math and xpecs together, can just use package fixspecs, and that problem is gone. So several small things also are done by that, but the core functionality we will discuss now in the remaining packages. So my idea is to have a math-like interface for linguistics. So for example, LaTeX was developed by a mathematician for writing mathematics. So obviously it has text mode and math mode. So everything in the math mode is different from the text mode. I want to do something similar for linguistics. So text mode and IPA mode, they will be clearly separated. So the settings for text mode will not interact with the settings for IPA mode. And there are no special commands for that. We saw text IPA, which was provided by TIPA, right? I have IPA text, which switches to the IPA mode whenever required. And then the single IPA text can be embedded in other, like wherever, suppose in the example setting we saw, suppose you require IPA for the transcription. This command can be easily embedded there so that you don't have to additionally type the IPA command for getting IPA in that slot, particular slot. So yeah, my idea is to have these clearly separate, 2 separate modes. Now, you might have noticed all of this presentation and the documentation and the output with these packages use a font family called New Computer Modern. It's developed by Antonis Solomitis, and this entire package is built on it. Even the logos are from New Computer Modern Unshell family. So why this particular font family is because it has amazing coverage of Unicode. It covers a lot of Unicode blocks. Then it is actively developed, unlike the default of LaTeX. And it fixes a lot of bugs also, by the way, from Latin Modern. And it has a great support for IPA. a really good support for IPA. Just to see a small example, it supports IPA in all the three families: serif, sans serif, and monospaced. And I don't know, as of now, I have never seen a family that has the same design in sans, serif, and mono for IPA. At least. Like, there are mono fonts which support IPA, but in the same design, like same design for serif, sans, and mono, and support for IPA, I have not yet seen. Also, the Anthony's has provided a special stylistic set, that is stylistic set 05, which is automatically enabled for IPA mode. And he has actively incorporated a lot of suggestions that are only required for IPA. So your text requires some different settings and IPA requires some different settings, and that is taken care of by the stylistic set. So that's why New Computer Modern. So linguistics fonts and linguistics IPA, these are two packages. You can load them separately. You can load only linguistics IPA, so that whenever you use IPA text, you get IPA in New Computer Modern. That's what it does. But my recommendation is using linguistics fonts and linguistics IPA both, so that you get the text in the same design, in the same family, and specific requirements of either of these. So that's the function of these two packages. By the way, everything, basically the users have control over each and every font feature. So like if you want to change something in the bold variant of the font, in the sans bold, in the mono bold, italic, any variant you can imagine, everything is controlled using the key value interface of the package. That is well documented also. And yeah, whatever you see for the text fonts, the same settings are available for the IPA fonts also. So suppose you want only the mono IPA block to be highlighted in a particular way, you can use some keys and you will get that. So rest is not disturbed at all. And all of these settings are just done in the preamble, and your main body can basically be free of all those other settings. So after this, while doing this, I encountered a small problem with the normal font command, and I built a hack around it. So we'll see a short example of that. That is basically the function of this package, linguistics NFSS. And okay, so the idea is I create a temporary command, a switch basically, to a new font family, a temporary font family that I have defined with the new font family and NFSS family here. And just for the demonstration, I have used a different color. Now what happens is I define a command tmpcmd that should switch to this family. Inside this, I say definition rm default and the switch to the temp family. Why should such a setting be there if I already have TMP font? So the use case of this is precisely the one like this. I need a switch command that will be a super font family. Like for example, IPA is a super font family. It's not just RM, it's not just SF. It's basically IPA in all these variants. So when I want to do this, there is no easy way in font spec. So what I have to do is I need to build a switch that defines RM default, SF default, and TT default. And then in order to activate all of these, I have to issue normal font command so that all these settings are activated. So the output looks like this appears in the default font. After the switch, this word appears with these settings. Now suppose I say normal font, and I have the expectation to switch back to the original font. That does not seem to happen. And the reason is we have redefined how RM default works. So I want a way to store the original settings of this font, which are lost, and I tried to work around it, but it wasn't easy because these values are not saved in public macros. Whenever you say switch to SF family, you are rewriting some other things that were there in the earlier variant. They are completely lost. So you don't have the control for that again in the document. So what I did is, suppose you just load linguistics, and yeah, now you define a new command. The only change is that instead of use package font spec, we have use package linguistics, and a new switch. Instead of normal font, we have a softer normal font. This is a wordplay I have done. There is soft, softer, and softest normal font. I will explain what it is. Basically, what I do is, there are 4 aspects: encoding, then, wow, I'm so sorry. There is, can I get some help? There are 4 aspects that are redefined when you use normal font command. And basically, I control shape, series, family, and encoding. Yes, these are the 4 settings. And when you issue normal font command, all of them are reset to the defaults. And defaults like these. For example, RM default is now redefined. That is why it has no effect after normal font command. Once you have issued normal font command and activated these commands, it is gone. So now you have to redefine it manually. So what I do is I save after each usage of SF family, RM family, and all these switches, I save the older value and the current value in a variable that can be accessed publicly and in the standard styles. So what I do is, suppose you want to switch to the older super font family, like from IPA, suppose you want to go to the text. What you can do is you can issue a command like soft normal font, softer normal font, or softest normal font. Softest normal font will reset everything, including encoding, shape, series, and family. Softer normal font does not reset the encoding, because many a times we don't really need to switch between encoding. And soft normal font is a command that will only change the settings that you ask for. So you can say only reset the family, only reset the shape, or only reset whatever, and that will be changed. This is just a wordplay, but that's the basic function of this. And now you can switch back between super font families. This package also provides a command for creating new super font families. So like you create a super font family for IPA, you can have multiple other super font families, and you get all the switches available. You just name the super font family you want to get back to, and you are switched back to it with the currently active font attributes. So if you check out the documentation, there are many other examples also that will be good for demonstration. So yeah, that's the function of this NFSS thing. Now there are several other packages that are planned. I am currently working on it. One is linguistics glossing. That package is financially supported by Tech Development Fund of this year. And I am basically planning to rewrite an interface with these methods for Leipzig package, which is used for glossing. But I also plan to extend it for newer glossing schemes or user-defined glossing schemes and a little bit of a flexible syntax. So that is one currently planned package. The other package is linguistics examples. That is a package that will provide an interface for writing the linguistic examples that we saw. And again, goes without saying, all modern methods. And I'm planning to, because of this work, because of the workshop that happened the other day, I also came to know about this X templates thing. So I think I would go for that for creating the layouts of templates, and maybe that would be good for tagging also and many other things. So that is another thing that I recently learned. I'm quite excited to do that. Last package I will talk about is linguistic languages. Currently we have Babel or Babel, I don't know the correct pronunciation. So that package and Polyglossia for switching between languages. Both of these packages are really good. But what they lack is, firstly, supporting those languages with fonts is not in their scope. Like they don't plan to incorporate commands that will switch the fonts for you. Like, of course, you have Babel font, which will give you a switch to the required font when you need it. But then user has to think, and user has to issue these commands explicitly that I need so-and-so font for Marathi. I need so-and-so font for Malayalam. And that requires a lot of other things also. My idea is that users should just say that I require Marathi, English, Japanese, and Spanish. No, Spanish uses Latin only, so Arabic for this document. And the respective font settings and the other localization settings should be stored in some kind of default file for the respective language. And you just name the language, and you have some fallback mechanism at least. And now we are in the Unicode world. We have Lua LaTeX, and then you have on-care setting in Babel, and your Unicode is read and correct font is applied, and you just get, like, you can get rid of all the markdown, I mean markup, and you just need to type in Unicode and that's it. You get to see that in the output document. So my idea is to build a wrapper around all these settings. These packages are great. Babel, Polyglossa, they're doing great work. But in my opinion, it needs some extended support so that users can be freed from the other technicalities that they have to care about currently. So something like this is on my mind, which is currently something I'm working on. So they will just say languages is equal to Marathi and English. The first language will be set as the main language of the document. And unlike Babel, in Babel you have to load the main language at the end, which is quite counterintuitive. And maybe it was a technical requirement back then, but now we just go with the natural way of thinking. So the first language you say will be the main language, and the rest will be the other languages. And then you directly use English, Marathi inside the document, and you see everything going well without any worry. So that is another package I'm working on. So now, I'm near the end of my talk, and I would say, for me, free software is beyond mere code, mere public code. It provides a sense of togetherness. It provides a sense of community. And I really like how there is how rigorous of peer reviews it goes through, and comments from the community and all of that. And it's by the people and for the people. So I would just of course, this is the world of Instagram, YouTube influencers, and they have their like, share, subscribe. I think we also need something like that. Review, fork, and donate to support all the types of free software. This is the link to the discussion forum on that is on Matrix. It's an open discussion forum. Anybody can join. Anybody can comment about linguistics. Of course, there is a Git repository. Please feel free to fork. Please feel free to comment, report issues. And this links to the TUG donation site. So please support tech development as much as you can. And yeah, I am opening my talk for questions, comments, feedback, reviews, anything.
Hey, questions for Niranjan?
Thanks a lot for your talk.
Thank you.
Just a couple of years before, we had published the books which I showed yesterday. And during the course of finalizing the font which has to be used, because the book size is also quite small, so we had to think of so many considerations before finalizing the font. You just mentioned that you are working on a package, linguistics language, I think, which you said that it will automatically take the font.
Yep.
Isn't it? So if in such scenarios where the user has to try out different fonts,
Yeah, of course.
Where
you
will be the scope for that? in
Yeah,
this?
of course, you will be able to override all the settings that my package does. Like once my package is loaded and you use any command that you regularly use, my settings will easily be overridden. For example, suppose Babel font is the command that one uses for loading the fonts for Marathi. Simply issuing Babel font Marathi again and saying a font of your choice will override my settings. Or I may think about an interface for doing the same thing. That also is quite possible. So of course you will be able to override all the settings that I do. I never like to hard code anything. So yeah, it will be flexible. You can override the settings my package does.
Okay. So the second question was about the package itself. That when you say you will provide the font, there are so many languages and some fonts don't support some languages.
Correct.
For instance. So how do you plan to supply the font also along with the package?
Oh, sorry. That's a good point, and thanks for asking that. I don't mean that I will provide the fonts. Fonts are mostly there in, like, for many languages, for many scripts. There already are fonts in TechLive, and I am just providing the settings that load fonts for particular languages. So for example, typically, if you just name the language in LaTeX language loading scheme, you also have to give fonts, you also have to give extra linguistic settings, like say baseline stretch or say some other settings. Like for example, custom packages, if you want to localize, you need to localize those software in your language with its syntax and stuff like that. So for example, there is a dedicated package for Marathi already on CTAN written by me. I and CVR last year wrote Malayalam package, which we still haven't released because we are working on something. So there are a lot of packages like that which provide many settings that you can't get with just loading Babel Polyglossia. Localization is a complicated thing. So my idea is we can host localization related to languages in a central space. Like we can have a definite methodology and we can extend it to most of the languages that require localization settings, depending on whether it is the main language or the other language in polyglossia terms, your settings will change. And then you just name the language and you get the output correctly. That's my idea. So I am not going to provide fonts. I'm just going to use the existing fonts. So another idea is if you are willing to send support requests for your language, please also come up with the fonts that you open licensed fonts that are preferably there in TechLive, which I can use with simple settings in the localization file. So I am not a developer, font developer.
Thank you.
Yeah, very many interesting ideas in an area where I have, which I have partly neglected in the last years. I mean, I have worked with, what's his name, Rai, Suki Rai or something, who made the Tipa. But then I haven't looked into this area very much. But yeah, so I think it's very good to see this kind of development and bringing the linguistic people back to, back is not the right word, but giving the linguistic people a chance to get even more into the good typography of tech and good tools for that. A couple of things on a few of your ideas, and I think I have to think further about it. I'm seriously concerned about the way you try to extend NFSS. I don't think that's the right thing to do with this approach, but maybe we have to take this offline. I do not see that is a good way to extend normal font by overwriting what it is doing with the font family, because it's actually not necessarily the font family that is really, you want to have as the method of a superfamily.
Yeah.
That doesn't belong into the Roman default. I think that's a dangerous thing of hurting other packages that have expectations there. So that's one thing where I think we should have a discussion on that.
but like to quickly say, this doesn't really override anything.
Well, it does, because that's why you said you were surprised that normal font doesn't return back to after you.
But there is no normal font here. Like it's softer normal font.
Yeah, you introduced Softon, and I don't think that's a good interface. That's what I said. I'm concerned about your thoughts how to make this an interface to get a super family. So that I think I would want, if you want to get a standard out there, and you said that it's a hype to call something a standard, in some sense, I think what comes as a standard comes from the LaTeX core, and I think we should agree on that. I mean,
Yes,
you
I
can do
agree.
whatever you like, of course.
No, I
but
agree.
I think it would be helpful to you show, to say this, you show that there is a need for a support on a level of superfamily kind of.
I
break.
did open up opened up an issue on the
Yeah.
GitHub, and
Yeah,
it
and
was
we
said
there
that.
was I know, but yeah, I think there is some more to discuss there. The other one, which I now have forgotten, was at the very end. Yeah, this is another thing you said. It's natural to have the primary language first.
Yeah.
Again, 30 years ago, maybe that I would have agreed with you. On the other hand, the way I see it, the Babel or polyglossia, they define basically the language interface for the document. And we from the LaTeX team see actually the future there being Babel and being even back integrated further. But the point that I'm trying to make is, if you are defining it this way around and the rest of language design interface is defining it the other way around, that's more confusing than saying one side is defining the way it is and the user can rely on it, and you are not deciding on that. You're getting the information from the interface, and then you are providing the extra information.
No, not really.
That's what I'm suggesting to do.
Okay.
You're not doing it, I know.
Yeah.
But my suggestion is Babel defines the primary language. You are getting the information what the primary language is. You provide the extra additional information about fonts and everything that you have as default, and that is then going to be used.
Okay.
That's my...
Thank you. Thank you for the comments. I will think about it.
Okay, now a couple of notes from the chat. I'm very sorry that in the previous, after the previous talk, I got a message from Chris Rowley just after the curtain, so I could not say it, and he highly praised the previous talk because it helped him to understand the connection between South Asian and East South Asian scripts. But now I think I can say that in the chat there is Antonis Solomitis, who really, really loves this talk. It's the first comment from this. And second, he answered the first message by Frank, and he says that it could be used as a fallback mechanism for LaTeX, because why the user should always look for a non-Latin font with standard settings. So I guess that's something like standard Babel fonts things, default Babel fonts settings he wants. That's from the YouTube chat.
Okay, we have a few minutes. Any other questions for Niranjan? Yep, okay.
You were talking about fallback mechanism, right?
Yeah.
So, it's another bit which has been bothering is that, let's say we have a fallback mechanism and there was a font that has some coverage but some missing characters, right? And what happens? So there is a default one that you have chosen that has a good coverage, probably the perfect coverage. Or whatever. And the user comes in, adds the Babel stuff, the font that has some missing characters, right?
Yeah, that's what happens now because we like the current font we are using is like it has a lot of missing glyphs. A lot of scripts are not supported in that font, which is okay. We have different issues regarding incorporating several fonts, but the point is that is what is happening currently. And my plan is to add the settings that may support particular languages. And then if you load that language in the mechanism I said, or probably I will think about the mechanism Frank suggested. So if you load the languages with that setting, so the chances are more that you won't need the fallback setting. But right now, if you just load a language, it is going to definitely it won't have the support because we are currently only supporting Latin. So one thing I would like to add actually is that I need a lot of community comments like, oh, hello, we need support for our language and these are the fonts we think might suit our language. So I will try to incorporate them in LaTeX using connecting the dots basically. So I would love to get a lot of feedback and comments from different users for supporting their language. So that's the idea. And I will definitely think about the interface thing too. So yeah, currently it will not show up. I'm not promising that everything will show up. I need information from the users of those languages. So yeah.
Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.